This sauna takes 4 hours to heat up, so it's gotta be perfect.
I don't need the steam. I'm just there to get the health benefit.
IR needs to do something about the social aspect. Otherwise, it's just going to be an echo chamber for people that are sitting by themselves and talking with their thumbs.
This is healthy for you. This is not healthy for you. That's not what we're talking about here. Not at all.
Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta. Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta.
Hey, dudes. It's good to
Hey,
see you again.
Risto, how's it
Hi,
going?
hi,
Good.
Risto.
Welcome back to all of our viewers and listeners. Sauna wise, in our neck of the woods, I got to sauna with an old friend this past Friday who I haven't sauned with in a while. And so that was really good to catch up. We actually got them into sauna. We first introduced them by bringing them over, showing them how we combat the winter. And then we drove them back to their house. And on the drive back, they were trying to figure out where in the yard they were going to put their sauna.
Perfect.
So Nate, if you're listening, it was good to sauna with you. How's it going with you, Eero?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Yeah, I had a great experience a couple of weeks back. There's a dude, David. I know that he's going to be listening to us today. We went together in New York City to do a little banya session together, and it was a great fun. And actually, as of recording this, I'm going to leave tomorrow for the motherland. So for the next 6 weeks, there's going to be a lot of sauna for me. But life is good. New York is great. Not too hot, not too humid. Life is good. So Sam, what's up with
Oh,
you?
no, we're about the same weather-wise, Eero. I'm on the East Coast along with you, and it's finally not so humid. We got a nice little breeze today. It's in the 70s, so can't complain. I'll probably go and chop some wood later this afternoon. Prep up, get the week's worth of the sauna wood prepped, so then I don't have to do so much work. But a little work is okay because I got time to kill while I'm waiting for the room to heat up. So it's kind of a part of the ritual, but. I was, this last weekend, Risto, I was, having a sauna myself. We had the nice holiday weekend. We had a lot of time to kind of reflect on some things. And I'm a member of a few different online communities, on Facebook, on Reddit, and a few others. But there's a couple goofy ones out there too that I've kind of keep an eye on once in a while. Sometimes it's good to keep your enemies close, they say. But no, there's no enemies in sauna. But there's a group that I've been following with a guy that we had some spirited debate this last weekend. It was a certified sauna review, infrared kind of focused, detox focused Facebook group. I'll butcher the official long name of it, but Matt, the kind of the leader, organizer of the group, him and I were going back and forth, and I proposed the question, why infrared? Why does everyone come in here and just going straight to infrared? I think that the infrared boxes, especially the ones you see on Facebook and a lot of the different social medias out there, they're cheap. It's manufactured in Asia somewhere. And it's shipped over in mass quantities. These are not, robust structures by any means. And sometimes people think that that's a pro, maybe because it's light and easy to set up and things like that. But again, you're dealing with a wood structure here. I need some meat on the bones. So we went back and forth, and a lot of people they commented and said, "Hey, I use infrared because of my health condition. I can't do the high heat." That makes complete sense to me. I would say, I agree with Matt when if you're going to do thermal therapy or if you need heat therapy for some physical ailment, go for it. That's nobody's standing in your way or going to say that you're doing something that makes you feel better. Is wrong for you. If it feels good, do it. we're all on that same page. But again, I had a feeling that, I'm always kind of a little bit on the black sheep side of things. I'm over here saying, hey, make sure you throw a lot of water this weekend, guys. And I know I'm speaking to a whole room full of infrared enthusiasts. So it goes over sometimes like a lead balloon. But I do like getting people thinking about, hey, there is another side of sauna other than the quick fix detox, things that you see out there. So it's good to engage with those folks once in a while. It's some of the best debate. You go find somebody with a counter, viewpoint to your own, and hash it out. It's okay to hash it out once in a while. Just make sure you're staying respectful and within some kind of a boundary there. But Risto, Eero, what do you guys think of some of that that back and forth that I had going on there?
Well, I saw the video came up because Matt made a video responding to your comment directly and respectfully engaging with what you had to say. It was a really good video.
I think
We'll
so.
link to it in the show notes. There needs to be more conversation between the IR and health crowd and the Finnish sauna crowd. We tend to talk past each other and not understand each other very well. So I thought it was a good introductory video for having these conversations if people are willing to have them. And I would love to have them. I enjoy hearing from the IR crowd and coming to understand their perspective. And then, like you said, to hopefully share with them my perspective about what I enjoy about sauna. Now, I was kicked out of Matt's sauna group a while back, not for anything I said, I don't think, but for someone that I know said some stuff in the group. So, Matt, if you're watching this, I would love to come back in and respectfully participate in this conversation. And maybe we'll have you on the show one of these days. That would be cool.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and I think there's always a fine line that we all walk, especially it comes to any hobby or any sort of practice, any sort of anything. You're never going to be with 100% of the people that agree with you wholeheartedly. So this is a part of life. We need to make sure that we're understanding the other side, but again, we're promoting what we enjoy too. The whole reason the three of us do this podcast is because we enjoy and believe in traditional Finnish sauna bathing. Where you're sitting above the rocks, you're throwing water around, and hopefully you're doing it with other people. And that was the fun part too that Matt had a really good connection with, is the social aspect of it. And I think he also agreed too. Maybe the infrared crowd maybe doesn't do the best job of promoting the social aspect, because really a lot of them are 4 feet wide.
Yeah, but no, it's like I didn't know about this discussion at all, but I watched the video today, and I liked the video a lot. There was extremely many good points, and it's kind of a thing. It boils down to the what you consider what is a sauna. So Matt makes an excellent comment about the thermal therapy. Everything thermal therapy is good. Period. There's no denying it. But the problem that we are having, the huge problem that we are having, is that the everything thermal therapy is called in America or in North America a sauna, and the sauna that I come from is totally different. So it's like there's nothing wrong with that the at the corner of your living room kind of a thing, but that's not where I come from. So it's just like you have to promote the thermal therapy, and at the same time you have to understand what are the difference between the different ways of thermal therapy, and obviously that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, if any of our listeners or viewers haven't seen our Bullseye episode of Sauna, go watch that now, because that will give you our perspective on, we're okay with people if they have a barrel, if they have infrared, a hot tub, or some sort of weird little blanket thing that they use. That's okay. Use what you have, but like Eero said, we're trying to point you to in a certain direction towards that Finnish sauna. And this is where I think the health crowd, and especially the crowd that's selling infrared, doesn't understand some of the pushback that they're getting. It's not like a question of this is healthy here and then this is more healthy here. That's not the debate. What they're not understanding is for Finnish people, it is a part of their cultural heritage. It is like your grandmother's enchilada recipe or your family's Christmas traditions or whatever is a valuable part of your family practice. And then for someone to kind of take that and boil it down into something super crazy simple and sell it as that thing, it's understandable that if you're Finnish and it's a cherished practice for you, that it's offensive to see it be reduced to such a narrow expression of it.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. So the kind of the experience of sweating is fine, obviously, and that's most important. But like Matt says so well on his podcast is that and what this is what Sam brought up is the social, the everything else that goes with it. And when you are doing it by yourself, you still get the whatever benefits there are for getting that. And the Japanese have been researching the heart and whatever, there's benefits that you get from that. But again, it's a different ball game, and we have to. We really the business, the sauna business, they won't divide between the different forms of heat therapy. But people like us, we have to, because it's such a different thing what you do with that heat thing. So we are beyond the conversation about, this is healthy for you, or this is not healthy for you. That's not what we're talking about here, not at all. I was actually doing sauna the day before yesterday with a bunch of my good friends, and like Matt said, this was like, not that my wife would allow me to go to a bar these days, not too much, but this is almost like a bar kind of an experience, with my buddies talking whatever we talk about, and again, once again, there were some sausages in the end. So that's part of the deal. But anyway, so I think we're on the same page pretty much. We're on the same page pretty much, that thing. So it's like, my background won't allow me I've tried these, I've never tried a barrel. And by the way, coming back to the barrel discussion, that's totally right. So these like uninsulated barrels, they do come apart and whatnot. So it's like, that's absolutely right. We are taking the baby steps here.
Yeah, I agree. And it led down, a couple different, avenues here. He made some great points. Yeah, if you do have some of these crappy products, and people are putting them outside, they're not intended to be outside. Some of these indoor units, they're not, just because you put, a waterproof little lid on it doesn't mean that it can, be exposed to, the Northeast winter. Some of these little cheap, thinly insulated and thinly cladded little rooms, a Maine winter will eat them alive, without proper structure built around them to, guard them from those elements, especially when it comes to barrels. You got to make sure that you've got some kind of a roofing material, shingles, a metal roof, whatever it is, to make sure that, water is not really hitting that thing that much, because it will kill that thing. And then he did mention too, people are trying to use infrared rooms outdoors. You are going to struggle with an infrared room outdoors in any sort of environment where the outside or ambient air temperature is below, I'd say, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Your panels are just going to be, it's going to take longer for them to warm up. They're not going to be, as efficient, and it's going to struggle, and the people that are using infrared and they want that high heat, or they want that, quote unquote high heat, they're going to be severely disappointed. Why are we trying to hot rod and simulate a traditional Finnish sauna when we may be causing more hazard than good? we make mention of the DIY crowd all the time. It's my bread and butter. I love the DIY guys, right? But again, it's a slippery slope when you're mixing infrared and traditional heaters in the same room. If you buy a infrared cabin and then slap a traditional sauna, stove heater in there, and you don't know what you're doing, that's a recipe for disaster. Okay, especially if both systems are running simultaneously. You're getting infrared heat, you're getting heat direct from the stove. If that stove is too close to the panels, too close to anything, and you're not following those manufacturers' guidelines, you could have yourself a little firebox there real quick. So again, I would highly recommend against trying to put anything inside of your infrared prefabricated unit to make it hotter. That wasn't, manufacturer specific, because number one, you just voided your warranty, period. I don't care what manufacturer you're talking about. I mean, and it's dangerous.
Let's talk about the dry sauna a little, because this is like at the dry sauna corner, right? So it's like, you have like whatever dry sauna means, but you have a dry sauna, and then you have like infrared, and then you have the you get the traditional sauna here there. So it's like it's about the same, right? It's just about making the heat. But isn't that so, as how we feel about things, that's only partial what should be there, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, I don't even think that's the right question, Eero, because I think it's different foundational motivations. Because
Okay.
to ask what should be there, where you're coming from is how you answer that question. So for the health crowd, they're coming to sauna because they have a lack in their health. As most Americans, we feel that, like, hey, I could be healthier. I'm a little bit concerned about some health conditions. I know I could use different things to improve the state of my health. And so then they hear that sauna is a really healthy thing, and they hear very specific, it reduces inflammation, you get heat shock proteins, it increases growth hormone. They hear all these things explained to them on a podcast or by a friend or in a news article. And so then they're seeking out sauna to get those health benefits. And so for them, when they're answering that question, should there be steam or not steam? All they're thinking is in a very narrow perspective of, if I get hot and sweat, then my body does these physiological responses to that, and then I get my health benefit. And even if I don't get all the health benefit, if I get like 70, 80%, I don't need the steam. I'm just there to get the health benefit. But the Finnish mindset is is coming from a very different perspective to start with.
Yeah, and for me, it is that, we always talk about the one and done crowd or the quick fix, and I think it is. I have such a hard time wrapping my head around something could be, enjoyable instantly. Over the course of, the last 20 years, what would you rather have? Instant oatmeal, or, good old fashioned oatmeal? Or would you rather have instant coffee, or would you have espresso that was, pressured and measured by the gram and, spritzed with water and taken care of, right? And so I think, in my head, instant or quick, it kind of just degrades the value a little bit in my head. Maybe that is built into my enjoyment of the build up and the heat up of my sauna. I don't dare jump in my sauna after, it's until it's good and warmed up. And that's usually at minimum 60 minutes. I got no business sitting in there before 60 minutes, because those walls just aren't hot enough yet. The benches aren't warm enough yet. The circulation really isn't 100% there yet. I want it to really be cooking. So, and I feel like if you wait an hour for something, it must be pretty good nowadays. What else are you waiting an hour for? We don't even wait for Netflix for an hour anymore. We used to wait in the mail, and now it's one click.
And that's a very good topic, because it's like, I that's just coming back to my childhood and stuff. And so it's like, I've never back in the day, I never heard anybody complain about how long it takes a sauna to heat up. Never, ever. It's like it was the opposite. It's like, this sauna takes 4 hours to heat up, so it's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like the longer the better. It's like, you never thought about anything like, okay, this is instant heat.
Well, or like a brisket. I mean, nobody's heard of a 15-minute brisket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I tell you it was a 20-hour brisket,
Yeah, I want it.
I was cooking it for 15 hours and I stayed up all night, and then I put it in a cooler where it was just hanging out for the last 4 hours.
Yep. It's got love.
Yeah, and health-wise, there are consequences for trying to take shortcuts. The American values, we're in the place that we are because we're valuing too much cheap, quick, easy. We need to actually start heading the opposite direction. And when you try and make something in just to a supplement form, I can just run down to Costco and I can have it set up in 40 minutes. There are unintended side effects of just throwing everything into a pill and taking it. We need to take the long road. We need to go for a hike. We need to get out and garden. We need to eat, vegetables and like really well-raised meats and those sort of things. And infrared is heading the opposite direction of that. And then you end up with things of like, what are the glues inside the infrared box? And what are the EMF readings? Does it end up being more harmful to your health than it is helpful? And I've heard that from people that are really big in the infrared world, is that infrared could actually be worse for you than nothing at all.
Yeah, I got to imagine you get what you pay for. Now, granted, I know a fair bit about infrared, and it unfortunately or fortunately, I know enough to be dangerous. But find me a U.S. made infrared panel, period, that's in production in any infrared sauna. You won't find it. It's not price competitive. It's not advantageous. So if you're purchasing an infrared cabin, you're not supporting. You may be supporting your local pool and spa guy down the road a little bit for getting his margin, but again, you're getting an imported unknown. You're getting a variable. Okay, because nobody's building these things here. Nobody's I don't know. I just don't trust it. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I cannot trust it because I don't want to spend the thousands of dollars on meters and gadgets and gizmos. I don't think electricity translates to health sometimes. Okay. I don't, and I'm gonna get flack from the the electric stove crowd as well too, because I'm such a diehard wood fan. But I don't have to worry about an ion, an electron, a gizmo, a gadget. I don't have to care if it's the Stone Age or 24.99. I give me my wood stove because it works, and I don't have to worry about it. It is au natural. Now, granted, yeah, you're gonna throw you're probably getting some creosote, or you da 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 da. Yeah. Guess what? So is the Marlboro afterwards too. We got demonetized right there. But I love the fact that it is authentic and it roots me and it grounds me in a traditional practice that I don't have to worry about voltage. I don't have to worry about amperage. I don't have to worry about my electric bill going through the roof because I forgot to turn it off, whatever that might be. I like the old school, take care of something that takes care of you.
But then again, I'm on Matt's side on the fact that if you don't have a drain, if you don't have ventilation, if the only you have is the corner of your living room, so it's better than nothing to have the whatever you have, the hot box.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. The only thing I have is a steam shower. The only thing I have is a steam shower, and I'm glad with the steam shower.
Let's talk about that, though. Let's talk about that. Let's dig into that one a little bit. Have you guys used infrared?
I have once, yes. Yeah,
And
with heat,
Sam?
with heat lamps. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've used a couple different Finleo infrared units before. I feel like the heat is pleasant. It's mild to in my opinion. I think it's mild because I am, more used to a higher air temp. The units that I was in and out of were probably anywhere from 120 degrees upwards to maybe in the high 140s in a rare case, but really I never saw anything above 150 degrees Fahrenheit, even after being on for 8 hours continuously. So anybody who's getting above 150 degrees in a infrared cabin is probably modified it in some capacity or added a heat lamp or a small space heater or something, just because it just wouldn't have the output to be able to do that, and it shouldn't. It's those are designed to transfer heat, via light to you. It's not heating up all the air as well. So, but again, I like 200 degrees too. At 100 and 130, you feel like you're in that, warm washcloth water that you don't really want to be in. So again, personal preference. But again, I can see where if someone has, tolerance issues, or maybe they do have health issues where they can't get their heart rate up too high, you're going to increase your heart rate quicker in a higher heat environment from a traditional sauna than you would an infrared heat source. So if you do need to keep that heart rate down, infrared would be, I would say, a safer option, maybe.
I don't know why I always say this, but there's most likely nothing wrong with that infrared experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that I would be seeking for because I'm so used to the traditional one. But the problem that we are having, and this is why we even talk about this thing, is the whole industry has put everything together, and everything, as in the American words, is a sauna. And that's not the case. It's like Matt says, it's thermal therapy, and it's extremely highly acceptable at that.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. But we just long for people to understand what is beyond the thermal therapy that we have experienced. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Infrared, I think, gets too much criticism
Correct.
because things were pretty bad before infrared became popular. There were lots of places that were traditional saunas that had a small electric heater with 5 rocks, if you were lucky, that only got up to 150. And I've used those before. There's a common phrase in the sauna enthusiast world that there's any sauna is a good sauna. And that's just not true in my experience. If you have a friend who loves Taco Bell and they're just all about Taco Bell, don't let them travel to Mexico. Mexico will ruin that for them. That, their mind will just be like opened up to where Taco Bell came from, and that it's just a shadow of like a rich, amazing traditional food. And it's the same with American saunas or infrared sauna. It is just a shadow of this rich cultural practice that's super compelling, that you get together with your friends and you spend multiple hours doing it, and you have intense heat that is regulated with steam, and it's good for your mind, it's good for your body, and you have a dinner party with it, and it's multi-generational, and nature's involved, and like I could just keep going and going and going. Instead, we're talking about this really kind of underwhelming experience that's on the market. And that was my experience when I used infrared, is I just felt like I was sitting there forever getting kind of uneven heat. I'd just be frustrated if that's the only option I had.
And Risto, you just sparked the reason why I am not a big fan either. The uneven heat. Okay. With an infrared panel, you need to be within a certain proximity of that panel to be getting the full effect, or the 50% effect, or the 25% effect. It all has to do with how close or far away you are to those panels, to what kind of heat, you're really getting from them. So let's say you do want to have 2 or 3 people over and sit in your infrared cabin. Okay, you're sitting side by side. Okay, what side of you is going to get cold? The side that's being blocked by your friend. Okay, so right there, infrared is counterintuitive to being a social product because you really do need to have a 4x4 box where you're an equal distance from everything and you're at the center of it. And to make it the most efficient, even, practice. Now, granted, yeah, sitting side by side, yeah, maybe you just rotate, maybe you take a step out and cool off and you switch seats or something like that. And, like the rotisserie chicken style. But really, it is. If you get more than two or three people in one of those, granted, you're going to be so far away from one of the panels that it has no effect on you at all. Now you've just got a stale, warm room where one side of you is getting heated. So I can definitely see where that's not going to be ideal for somebody to share that experience. They're looking for that ideal situation or those ideal thresholds or whatever they're aspiring to with their health journey, because it is. Infrared sauna is linear. If you take out the health aspect of its marketing, you can't market it. There's no reason for it to exist other than for it to be a health product, really. I mean, if you can come up with an argument to sit in a warm room that isn't a health benefit, and not be able to splash water around and wash yourself and do those types of things, it serves no purpose. It's literally a warming box for sitting outside at the skating rink, maybe. So again, I feel like with traditional sauna, you do have multiple paths you can go down. You've got banya, you've got sauna, you've got everything Turkish, a million different things, inipi, and those things are well-rounded culturally and offer fun things outside of them, to a lot of them having to do with culturally social experiences. So again, I just IR needs to do something about the social aspect. Otherwise, it's just going to be an echo chamber for people that are sitting by themselves and talking with their thumbs.
So let's wrap up this discussion. We've been talking almost an hour here. So what are the final thoughts about the infrared versus the traditional, or whatever has been in between?
I'll offer this and then let you guys have the final say. But if it feels good, do it. We always promote that. We're not going to say you're not a part of the club or you're not a sauna enthusiast because you have an IR room. And again, if you live in Manhattan, you live in DC, you've got a 300 cubic foot studio apartment. We get it. You're not going to have a wood burning sauna. You don't have the room. Hopefully, though, you have access to somewhere where you can become a member of a spa or gym or something that has access to something, or hopefully maybe there's a mobile sauna that you can rent, or maybe you and your buddies can, take a little road trip down the road to something somewhere. Especially if you are living in a metropolitan area, chances are we're recording this in June of 2024. There are more and more saunas popping up, especially public ones, all over metropolitan areas. So if you're within a half an hour of a metropolitan area, chances are you do have access to some sort of really good Finnish sauna. So hopefully we'll be able to share more information about where those locations are in the coming months and years. But again, if you are a practitioner of sauna, if you share sauna with others, we want to hear your story. Please feel free to get a hold of us. Yeah, we might butt heads on the internet, but again, we're all in this together, promoting what we love and do. So again, yeah, we love to continue the conversation.
I often tell people I would sauna even if it was a little unhealthy. So like that should help you understand that there's something else going on here. And I would say to them is if we were standing next to a hill and I knew there was gold inside that hill, I would say go mining for that gold. And that's what I would say for them. If they want to go on that journey and explore what Finnish people actually have done for years and years, and not just something that has the word attached to it, it's worth going on that journey because it's a pretty fantastic practice. And as far as being limited, many of the Finns who first came here were in very tight quarters in cities or working at the mine and didn't have a lot of funds. And so what they would do as a community was have those small public saunas that people could come and use. They would kind of pool their resources instead of building a super tiny, not very good sauna. Just one person in the community would fill that purpose. And so that's what I would like to see happen. I'm encouraged that there's a lot of public saunas springing up, like you said. I am a little bit concerned that they're not mining the depths of the cultural treasure that's there, and it can just end up sliding back towards that what we've already had since the 80s and 90s and beyond, where it's
True.
150 degrees and not very good, and no one's making steam.
And my final words are that we all agree, each and every one of us agree on the thermal therapy aspect of things. There's no denying that. We all like thermal therapy, whatever way it comes, forward. But again, the word sauna, we have to make a difference. We have to make a difference because most of us are frustrated. There's nothing wrong. I liked my infrared experience, not as much as what I'm accustomed to, but it's just that it's like, it's like you can ride a bicycle, you can drive a car, whatever. They take you from A to B, but how you get that trip done, that's a question. And yeah, it's like it was on Thursday. We are recording on a Saturday, but on Thursday I was with my buddies doing sauna together, and it is the cultural, the social, the whatever, the whatnot, and that's part of the deal that I'm in love with. And that's the way it is. But then again, I'm gonna use my steam shower, so I'm good. So thanks, guys. Thank you so much. We'll
Yeah.
get to you on everything soon, and we take it from there. So I hope that we covered some of the questions that were posed to Sam, right?
Yeah, and again, Matt, this is an open invitation. If you want to, be the fourth square here, you're more than welcome anytime, and we can and hash it out. Or if you feel like you're a little outnumbered, maybe bring some backup with you too. We'll debate whoever. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Whatever you've got, use it, share it, spread it around, but don't forget that there's always maybe something around the corner too that you don't know about that might be just a smidge better or maybe a smidge more fun. So don't be closed off to trying new things.